I feel like the color of my skin looks really, really weird. Fizzy Fingers review, take 1, soft sticks. These are my 3 Fizzy Fingers boards, and I absolutely love them, and I just basically want to tell you guys why. If you don't already know about Fizzy Fingers, this is a company based in the UK, and it's run by a woman called Lisa, girl power. And this is basically just one of those companies which I am so surprised is not more popular than it is. I think I know why, but there is so much more I want to say, so let's go ahead and get into some specs first. So generally speaking, for stocks, Lisa will make decks that are between 33 to 34 millimeters, but she also does customs, so you can get any like width you want basically. The length of the decks is usually between 95 to 97 millimeters, and everything is hand sanded without a template, so the length and the width can sort of vary just slightly from time to time. Despite not having a template, I'd still say that the decks are really, really accurate in their size. Like, you would never get a deck that was like 33 that was advertised as a 34, let's say. So today I'm going to be talking about 2 different molds because I don't think many people know that Fizzy has 2 molds. I actually have 2 of the new mold, which is a medium shape, and I have 1 old mold, which is a lower shape. So more recently, I've been really into like medium decks, sort of like low concave, medium kicks, or medium to high kicks. And I'm generally not the kind of person who likes to ride like a really low deck or anything like that. The only low mold I've ever liked is actually a saltwater from Catfish Barbecue, and that's mostly because the kicks are like low medium more so than they are just low. And this Fizzy shape, the low shape, reminds me very much of that. When I first bought this deck, like I had already paid for it and everything, I was actually getting really worried that I wouldn't like the board because Helena from Goat on the Road actually told me that the shape was too low for her, and I honestly think the photos and videos make the shape look deceivingly low, and so when I saw those I was like, oh but then I got it and I set it up, and I was so surprised at how easy it was to use. It definitely took some getting used to, but it was nowhere as low as I expected it to be. When I first set this up, I was actually riding my Go on the Road Crazy shape, which is a really high shape actually, and so using this in comparison was like really, really different, but I fell in love with this shape like pretty much immediately. I'd say that using this deck has helped me get slightly more consistent with tricks. If you're somebody who likes higher shapes or maybe high medium shapes and you want something slightly different, I definitely think this is the shape to go for, and this is the deck you should go for. I will say though that for people who enjoy super low shapes, that I don't think this will feel super low to you. I think it'll feel more like a medium maybe, but I'm not an expert on low shapes. I've just ridden like a few of them, and I've noticed that some of them are like almost basically flat, and I know some people really like those, and this is just not that type of board. Moving on to the medium shape, you saw that I have this medium shape, and I also own this one, which is a split ply, and it's so sick. I'd say that the shape is pretty standard medium. Aside from Go on the Road decks, this is definitely one of the most comfortable decks I've ever ridden. Like, it's so easy to get used to. It's compatible with like pretty much everything you ride. The wheelbase is slightly shorter than the low mold as well, and if you're somebody who likes really aggressive shapes, like a high shape, maybe something like a Sorry for fingerboarding deck, you can go for something like this if you just want to step it down slightly. If you're lucky enough to purchase both at the same time, it's like the perfect combo. I think the medium mold is probably something that most people will like in general, and then the low mold is more for people who, you know, are trying to get more consistent. So we've talked about the shape, we've talked about just like the decks in general, but how much is it and is it worth the price? I have a lot of numbers coming at you in a second, so bear with. Gotta refer to my notes here. Customs are 24 to 36 pounds, which is 30 to 50 US dollars, depending on what you're looking for. So you can get paper graphics, hand-painted graphics, and split plies. The harder the paint job, the more expensive it'll be, and the harder the split ply, the more expensive it'll be, obviously. Other regular stock decks, which are usually hand-painted or split plies, go for between 28 to 45 US dollars. Plain exotics are around 22 pounds, which is 28 US dollars, and geometric splits are 27 pounds, which is 35 US dollars. Alright, I'm just gonna say one thing. Don't panic. I know these prices sound pretty high for a company this small, but I really want you guys to keep a couple of things in mind. Firstly, Fizzy offers free shipping worldwide. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. And one thing to bear in mind is that hand-painted decks take a lot more time and effort than, like, say, graphics in general, whether they're paper graphics or heat transfers that are realware. If you're making a graphic on a computer, if you make a mistake, you can always delete it, and there's not a lot of repercussions in terms of the design itself. But with hand-painted decks, there is actually no room for error at all. If you mess up, then you have to start all over again with a deck. I am so impressed with how well these decks are painted too. When I first got this deck, I legit thought it was like a realware because it's so perfect. The paint sits completely flush with the board pretty much. But okay, back to the pricing. Like most people, I used to base my first impression on a company based on their number of followers. More recently, I realized that that system really doesn't work because this community is filled with so many different companies on Instagram now. I do think that there is still a risk when it comes to purchasing decks from smaller companies, especially since there are some companies who, you know, bump up their price because they just can, but the quality of their decks are actually not great at all. They're actually pretty low quality for the price they're charging. And I do think that because there is this factor of risk, that a lot of people aren't willing to take that risk with Fizzy because this company is quite small. And I do also think that there is a slight correlation with brand recognition and price point. And like I said, I'm sure a lot of you think that these decks are really, really expensive. And to some degree, I actually agree with you in the sense that I think they could be made slightly more affordable. There are still things to be improved with this company. You know, like I said, don't use a template, but I do think that most of the price comes from time and effort of painting the decks. And genuinely, I think that if these decks were slightly cheaper, they'd be more popular. People would want to buy them more because there's less risk and it's just easier for everyone to purchase a deck. But the price that she has now is allowing her to invest in templates. So soon, if you get a 33 deck, instead of it being more like a 32.7, it'll be exactly 33 or exactly 34 if you get a 34mm deck. Lisa is an absolutely amazing company owner. She's really, really sweet. We're really good buddies. I really, really love these boards. Like, I've been riding these two decks super consistently. Like, ever since I've had them set up, I haven't taken them apart. I've only taken this one apart because I needed trucks and wheels for a different setup. The craftsmanship of these decks is absolutely insane. This is definitely one of the top 5 companies I've ever tried in my 6 years of fingerboarding. A lot of companies with similar hype or similar following, and actually even some companies with bigger hype and following, don't make decks as good as this. These decks are crazy. Like I said, these are some of the best decks I've ever ridden, so get yourself a Fizzy. So the good news is I'm actually working on doing a giveaway with Fizzy soon, and that'll be announced on my Instagram and also make a YouTube video to announce the giveaway as well. But I'm so excited to make that happen because I want you guys to try these decks. These are so good. Go give Fizzy a follow. They're Fizzy Fingers FB on Instagram. Obviously follow me on Instagram as well at annieannfb.mov if you don't already. I really hope you enjoyed this review. I really enjoyed doing them. Definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what other reviews you want to see and what other unboxings you want to see down in the comments. And have you tried a Fizzy? If you have, I'd love to know your thoughts as well. But yeah, this video is really long, so I'm gonna go now. See you guys in the next video.